Sahil Kapoor, Chief Technical Analyst at Edelweiss RCM Research is now with us. Sahil, thank you so much for taking our time for us. First, a view on the Nifty. We may not be at the bottom, but you think we are closer to the bottom?
I think we could already have seen the bottom, at least for the short term, at least for this expiry. Largely, this view comes from the put-call ratio that we had yesterday. So, in the last trading session. So today morning, we came out with a view that since the put-call ratio has declined below 0.72, it's a good level for the index to have a, straight bounce back for at least 2% plus. So I think initially, in the initial part of the day when the markets opened down, we gave out a trade recommendation of buying the index through a bull call spread, and we continue to feel that 7900 to 8100 is the range where the market is headed towards. So largely we feel that short-term low is already in place, and you are going to see a rally towards 8100.
Right, 8100, so about 300-400 points from here on. That's what you expect?
Yes, overall I think the next week will be dominated by the expiry trades rather than the index taking a particular direction. So I guess within this week we should have a sizable rally to get established when we enter the expiry week. So overall I feel 8100 to 8130, this is a resistance level for the index, which if challenged, I think it will be difficult for the index to break that. But if it were to break that level, I think then the whole dynamics will change. As of now, as a trader, you should look to see Nifty headed towards that level only.
Right. What's your view on Bank Nifty, the strength over there in the last couple of days?
See, roughly if you look at the Bank Nifty chart, most of the sessions in Bank Nifty had opened negative and closed positive. So largely there is large amount of short covering that has happened in Bank Nifty. I think over the last 5-6 sessions, most of the stocks in Bank Nifty has outperformed. But I still feel that 17,550 is the make or break level for Bank Nifty. If that level were to give away and the Bank Nifty were to able to climb above this level, I think a move towards 18,100 will be likely. So 17,500 to 17,550 is the range, which is a significant resistance for Bank Nifty, and that will decide whether Bank Nifty will outperform as it is doing today. Whether it will do that over a course of period remains to be seen. So overall the view will continue to be the way the Nifty view is, that a bounce back is expected, and I think right now the levels that I already mentioned are the levels that we are eyeing.
Right, a bounce back is expected even in the global markets?
See, largely if you look at globally, the charts are not extremely appealing, but I guess the markets were expecting action from the Fed. Last week we had a large amount of news flow regarding what expectations Fed was building up. But I think the correction most likely in S&P 500 should get contained closer to 2000 levels. And yes, a bounce back appears to be making a case in most of these indices, particularly in S&P 500 and German DAX. I think these two are the leading indices which you should look at, and I think a bounce back is quite likely in both these indices in this week.
Right, so I'll just stay on with us, about 90 seconds odd remaining for closing. It's been a decent market, at least so far, in terms of the opening and where we are closing in. 7,800 plus is where the likely closing is. Still about 70 to 80 odd seconds remaining for closing. A good day as far as markets are concerned. We'll just look at some names as well. So SBI is up about 3.5 odd percent towards close. Tata Motors, a slightly rough day today, 1% in terms of decline. Tata Steel towards close was up 4%. Axis Bank down about 5 rupees. Axis Bank was one of the best gainers on Friday when markets actually did not do well. ITC up 2.5, that gave a lot of support to the market. ONGC crashed out earlier, but closing in about 0.5% higher. Bank of Baroda 1.3, close to 1.3, 1.4% higher. BHEL flat with a positive bias. Reliance Industries, there was some news flow, but it's not reacting, absolutely flat. Infosys down about 1.2 odd percent, 1,086 for Infosys. Idea up about 60 paisa. Yes Bank up about 1.8, 751. For Yes Bank, 13 to 14 rupees higher. Bharti Airtel up about 0.75. L&T up about 2 odd percent. HDFC Limited flat, absolutely flat actually. Kane India up 1.1. M&M up 2.5. M&M was among the top gainers today throughout the day since morning. HCL Tech down about 0.25%. Tech Mahindra recovered off the day's low but still down about 0.5. Dr. Reddy's 3.6% higher. The ADR was up about 5% on Friday. So this is Dr. Reddy's was one of the top gainers today. Cipla 1.3% higher, 626. Wipro up about 0.2. Kotak Bank up 1%. TCS down about 0.8 odd percent. Power Grid down about 1.5 odd percent. That's the closing bell, 47 points. These is provisional numbers, and we did have a lot of changes in the last 10 odd minutes. So we'll have to wait for the adjusted closing. It should be slightly lower, 42, 43 odd points on the higher side where it is expected. Let's start with the gainers as far as Nifty is concerned. So we looked at different names, but the clear-cut gainer was Tata Steel. 4% higher, 232 for Tata Steel. GAIL India was among one of the top gainers, up about 4 odd percent. Tata Steel 6.9 million shares, 4% higher. GAIL was the second best gainer, 4%, 293. Vedanta Limited 3.7% higher, 90 rupees. SBI 3.6% higher, 249 for State Bank of India. Dr. Reddy's 3.5% higher, 3,510 towards close. PNB 2.5% higher, 140 rupees. M&M 2.5% higher, 1,282. ITC up about 2.4. Hindalco up about 2.2, Ultratech up about 2 odd percent, IndusInd Bank up about 2%, ICICI Bank up about 2%, Larsen up close to 2%. Adani Ports 2% higher, Lupin up about 2%, Yes Bank up 2%. So there were a whole host of gainers actually, which led the market higher. We have the adjusted close. Nifty is up 44. The provisioning close was up about 47 odd points or so. Top losers, Coal India purely on results, about 2% decline. HUL down about 2%. Tata Power down about 1.9. Hero MotoCorp down 1.3. Power Grid up down about 1.1%. Infosys down close to about 1% or so. Tata Motors, TCS, Axis Bank, very, very small losses, close to about 1% or so, but not anything meaningful. But some of these names have particularly done quite well of late. Let's look at the broader market space as well. Actually, that's where the action was happening in since morning. VRL Logistics was up 8%. The entire logistics pack did well. Not only VRL Logistics, but VRL Logistics was one of the notable gainers. 8% higher for VRL Logistics. Lycos Internet, earlier known as Vibrant, up 8%. SH Kelkar, that's a new listing, 210 towards closing. So that's a good listing as far as SL Kelkar is concerned. Vakrangi Software Limited, 17% higher. It was up on Friday as well. So 2 days on a row it has been doing well. GMR Infrastructure, very, very solid set of numbers. 13% higher, 13.5 rupees for GMR Infrastructure. Jaiprakash Associates, about 10 rupees higher, 13.10. Again, a results impact, 10% higher for Jaiprakash Associates. Godfrey Phillips up 15%. It's a cigarette company, up about 15% or so. Sri Renuka Sugar was up about 11%. Sri Renuka Sugar, of course, along with the entire sugar pack, has been doing well for the last few days. Similar is the case with Rice Company, and today also names like LT Food, KRBL, all of them did particularly quite well. As far as some of the other notable mid-cap gainers are concerned, so Century Textile was up 6%, HMT was up 11%, Reliance Infrastructure towards close was up about 5.6 odd percent, Emphasis 5.5%, Future Retail, very decent set of numbers, and maybe that's why the name maintained its gain throughout the day today. Jubilant Life Sciences was up 2.5%, IDBI now closer to 90 mark, 88.4 for IDBI. Apollo Hospital numbers, results impact 2.5% higher for that name. Strides Arcolab, Glenmark, Crompton, most of these names did quite well. As far as losers are concerned, Cadila was one of the notable losers. Indiabull Housing Finance again went on the lower side, so down about 3%. Mindtree, Piramal Enterprise, Eicher Motors, Jet Airways, some of the other losers down about 2 to 2.5 odd percent for each of these names. Overall, more hits than misses as far as mid-cap space is concerned, and that's why broader market, one can say, has got life again today. 2 or 3 days of continuous selling, but today you're seeing some buying over there. We were talking to Sahil. He's still with us. Sahil, any view as far as Dr. Reddy's is concerned? That's a name which has not done well. Today gave a bounce. Could it be a false bounce as well?
I think it is only a bounce back, and most likely the kind of selling that we've seen in Dr. Reddy, the bounce back will be quite sharp and it can stretch towards 3800 also. But I think overall I think the trend for the stock has seen a significant damage, and this damage will not go away in a hurry. So there will be a lot of time spent before the stock is able to scale heights of 4,000 again. So I guess this bounce back will be an opportunity for short-term traders to exit. And possibly, this bounce back could be a short-term play on the upside as well. But rather than playing for, a small amount of upside of say 5 to 7%, I would suggest traders should wait for the stock to reach 3,800 to 3,950 levels and possibly look for short-term shorting opportunities.
Right. How would you look at something like a Cadila Healthcare? It's been included in MSCI, but there was some negative news flow and it was down about 4% odd.
I think largely the stock has seen severe beating over a period of time, and although it was a significant outperformer in its peer groups and within the overall broader market as well, but I think the structure of the stock has seen a significant beating. So I would not be betting on a very large upside in Cadila. Largely, I think some inclusion into these international indices can give it a short-term boost, but I would not be creating positions for capturing 10% plus on this stock. So I think that kind of a trend is out of the window right now. So on the charts, I think it's only a matter of a bounce back that you can see, possibly tracking the other pharma stocks. So overall, I think this whole basket will continue to see selling at higher levels. But right now, yes, there is a revival in the markets, and because of the severe beating that they've seen, overall CNX Pharma Index was down about 12%. In the last 1 month. So that kind of oversold readings are already available. So you will see bounce back in all these stocks, and Cadila will not be far. So I think you have to see this movement only as a bounce back and play accordingly.
Right. Similar to what some of the metal companies are also doing, Tata Steel was the top gainer today. Again, it's a shorting opportunity once it settles down.
I think last time we spoke when Tata Steel was closer to 250 levels, and that time I clearly indicated that this is only a bounce back, although there were signals that these stocks are trying to form a bottom. What is interesting is if you look at a CNX Pharma compared to a CNX Metal and then compare these to Nifty, overall pharma, IT, these are the two sectors which have broken below the levels they had registered when Nifty was 7,500. So largely, if you look at on charts, most of these stocks have made a lower low, which is quite opposite of what CNX Metal is doing. It has carved a higher low compared to the other two sectors, which were quite used as a safe haven for short-term investors. So I think there is a clear significant change that the market is showing, and metals may not be a short for the next 1 to 2 months. From a very short-term trading perspective, I think rather this fall could be a good opportunity to play a good amount of a bounce back, which could be more than 10 to 15% in most of the metal stocks. So I guess I would not use this 4 to 5% uptake in some of the metal stock as a shorting opportunity. Rather, I would look to buy any weakness in these stocks, specifically with the lows that we registered in November. I think those will serve as good stop loss levels for most of these metal stocks.
Right. Sahil, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Hope you have a great day.